That's on. Cool.
Great.
What's up, girl?
Hey. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Just make sure that you keep this within relatively close to your face, because if it gets out here, it's just hard for it to pick up.
Yeah. Hear myself or you hear me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good. I'm absolutely ready for this move.
Yeah.
The
Tampa
snow today.
next week.
Yes.
So you're officially gonna be in Tampa or St. Pete?
Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa area. I'm on Harbor Island, which is right across the bay area of Amalie Arena and the Sparkman Wharf and the convention center. So it's pretty cool.
Why'd you pick that area?
Kind of fell into my lap, so to speak.
Did it really?
Yeah. So my dad and I, we went to 8 different apartment buildings to tour.
Holy shit.
And the first one we ended up not being able to get in because the time slot ended up falling through. So we were like, oh, we've got an hour of time to kill. Let's go kill some time. We went into Hyde Park Village, and one of those apartment complexes is owned by the same apartment complex that I chose. And one of the guys who gave us a tour there, he's like, well, I love this location that I work at, but I'm very biased because I live in the Harbor Island location. And I was like, oh, well, where's that? And he told me about it, and I told my dad, I was like, we got to go and look at it. And it's absolutely perfect. There's 2 bridges that go over the water.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was an actual island.
Yeah.
I thought you were just talking about this entire area as a whole, but it's literally this little
Yep, it's right there. So it's right on the right-hand side is the Sparkman Wharf over on this side, where the cruise ship docks and ports. Yeah. So if you drag it up just a little bit, actually other way. Yeah.
got Starship.
Yep. So right there is where all the cruise ships port and dock off and kind of, mess around in Tampa for the day.
God, that is so cool. I'm so jealous.
You guys will definitely.
Holy shit, there's one right there.
Yeah.
How about that?
So cool. Definitely won't be able to go on the cruise ship, but it's cool to see. And then all of this is different coffee shops and all of those shipping containers
cool. Yeah.
that are coffee shops, ice cream shops, restaurants, you name it. And then the convention centers on the left-hand side. So they have all of the, oh my gosh, what are they called? The dune bug dirt derbies there of the monster trucks and stuff like that. Funny
Monster
things
Jam?
like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And Amalie Arena, they, of course, host the Lightning and have a crap ton of concerts there.
So that video I sent you the other day of the ferry that goes across the bay, does that dock somewhere in here then?
No. So it's not large enough to fit here. So right here on this channel, you can take a water taxi. You literally just scan a QR code and you order a water taxi and it can take you all the way down to St. Pete. So if you blow it up
that's
all the way back.
What it was.
Yeah.
It went to St. Pete. That's right.
I don't know exactly where the ferry is that would take you to St. Pete from that end, but the ferry, that's way too large to fit into that channel. But, I mean, it's 100 feet away from the entrance of my apartment, which is pretty cool if I don't end up wanting to Uber or drive over to St. Pete, because St. Pete's beaches are, as you know, incredible.
So let's take a step back. Why are you going down there?
I decided to go down there because with my career, I work for a company called Hyperfine. I work with the only portable MRI for the brain in the whole world.
I built those Legos today.
Yeah, you did.
Yep, I built them.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure it took you all of 2 seconds to build.
Yeah, it's a cute little thing though.
I was like, I'm not gonna build them or use them, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. But yeah, I thought that was funny. But my role in the company is an account manager, and my primary job is to create that utilization and drive awareness throughout the entire company and also our sites that already have our system. And because my career and my job position has been going so well, they need more of me throughout the country. So the Tampa position opened, and I look at the VP of the company, and I was just like, hey, listen.
Give me that.
That position's mine.
Give me that.
And I have the perfect person who's going to take my position in
Here.
St. Louis,
Hell yeah.
which is obviously Claire, since we travel nurse together, and I know she's more than capable to take my position. So I've been getting her up to speed, and Tampa's just one of my favorite places. And I told myself, my family, and everyone who knows me, part of my soul is in the mountains, the other half is on the beach.
Yep.
And whatever career choice ends up popping or rearing its head first, that's what I'm going to choose.
Sure.
So that's what I ended up choosing, was Tampa, because it ended up coming up first.
Do you think if a Denver one would have popped up, how do you think you would have chosen?
At the same time?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like same afternoon.
I think for convenience, I probably would have chosen Colorado because of my parents now having the townhome.
Yeah.
And, they would be my landlords, which
Yep.
would not be terrible. And I already knew that was their thought process prior to all of this. I think they started on the build back in March. So I was already aware of all of this. And to be honest, again, for convenience and because I knew I loved Colorado when I lived there, I think it would have chosen
That's fair.
that. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically a coin flip then.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
So I don't regret at all choosing Tampa because
you
I'm
shouldn't.
so excited. I've got Kelsey down there. I've got my cousin Sam. And also I have my Mimi, who's 2 hours east, and she's a snowbird and will be there throughout, I think, until April.
Is she really down there that long?
Yeah. Well, she had a late start this year just because she had a couple medical
Sure.
concerns and had to stay back a little while longer. She usually stays till like the first week of April, but now she's, I think, staying through the end of April.
So you're account manager. Are you the St. Louis account manager, the Midwest account manager, the Missouri account manager?
I would say our territories are not necessarily outlined specifically. I would say Claire and I are kind of splitting the entire country right now. But primarily in St. Louis is where I started because we have the most signed systems here in Missouri with BJC. So obviously one of the largest hospital systems,
Yeah.
honestly, in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And we have 11 systems with BJC. Not that all of them are live, but we do have those here, and that's ironically why they needed me here in the first place, was St. Louis. Territories, I think, especially with Claire and I'll definitely take, of course, all of Florida, and she'll take all of probably St. Louis and Illinois. She'll take the Midwest. I'll take basically the South and the Southeast.
Okay, that's what I was figuring. Okay.
As of right now. But, I mean, if Claire is more available for an implementation week or weeks than I am, or demos or anything, we work as a team.
Right.
And in tandem, that if one of us needs to check in on the other one's account just because the other one's on PTO, then that's what we'll do.
That's how it should be. That's how a team works.
Yeah. And that's what's really cool about this this company is that we all work together as a team. And the president of our company, she is really awesome. She's extremely thorough. She cares about everyone within the company. We're still considered a startup company.
Maria Sains.
Yes. Wow. You did your
How about
research.
Shout out Google.
Yes, when we are a publicly traded company, which is also pretty cool.
Had no idea.
Yeah. So we love Dave. He's one of the best. And Eddie, our CMO, is also a really intelligent individual. He worked at NYU for many years.
CMO, Chef Medical. Wow.
Yes.
NYU, is that what you said? Wow.
Yep.
NYU met, I'm assuming? Wow.
Yep. So he's been a neuroradiologist for, longer than I've been alive. And he's one of the coolest people I've met. Same thing with Maria. They're very well-rounded, and this company really cares about putting the patients first.
That's good to hear.
which is kind of, I don't have a lot of experience in the med device field. I don't really know if other companies do aspire to be that way, or maybe they're all talk and no show.
I'm sure it's probably easy to be.
Yeah. So this is really cool that I still get the hands-on experience of med device, but also continuing the education for all of the clinicians, the nurses, radiology techs, respiratory therapists. I mean, you name it. I still get that clinical hands-on experience outside of bedside.
I see. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. With account management, I've actually talked about changing the title to clinical account manager, because account manager just kind of seems like you're managing an account, which you kind of are in this role. But clinically speaking, they only want nurses to be these account managers, or someone at least with medical background, clinical background.
That's good to hear. I would have assumed that. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So with us going through and educating all of the clinicians that, of course, need to be educated, it's really great that we still have patient experience and hospital experience, because you still get to be in that hospital setting and see how everything works, and do a lot of peer-to-peer education, because a lot of nurses don't want to hear from a guy in a blue suit saying you should do this and that and the other, and this is why it's going to be better for you.
Yeah, to do with the stick of his ass.
Yeah. I would not say any of our awesome people on our team are like that, but in
you probably run into one here or there.
Yeah. In retrospect, you kind of look at someone and you're like, you have no idea what we're going through right now and how busy we are, or how is this really going to change patients' lives. And I can only speak for myself when it comes to nursing, but I really care about people and their progression into like being discharged and recovery. And I feel like 80 to 85% of nurses feel that way as well. And so when that is primarily driven in that sort of sense, it's pretty cool to see nurses' eyes light up when you bring that up, and they're like, actually, that makes sense. And coming from you, rather it coming from a salesperson, I think it makes even more sense to them.
Someone that shares it with you. I get that.
Yeah.
So Hyperfine, the Swoop portable MR imaging system.
Yep.
What is that? Isn't it?
What you're asking, like what
What
Swoop
is that? Yeah. Isn't it MRI?
Yep. So the big, bad, scary machine that's down in the basement.
The big worry thing.
Yeah. So I call it a medical coffin. It's kind of what it looks like. If anyone's ever had an MRI of any part of their body, it's scary and it's claustrophobic.
Oh my God, this is so fun. This is exactly like the Legos I built. That is so funny.
Yep, they did it exactly.
Yeah.
Our clinical engineers are extremely intelligent, and it's just so great how they can.
Oh, I totally see now.
Yeah. And that orange ring is not a helicopter that's going to like make it fly off.
Yeah, it's just a big fan.
Yeah, that's what people think it is, to fly off and go somewhere else. But that is actually our 5 Gauss line, which is considered our zone 4 of what's safe outside of that orange ring. So meaning safe is anything that has not been screened, whether that's an individual or an inanimate object. But before MRIs, you can't go in with your cell phone in your pocket. You can't go in with any metal, or else it projects straight into the machine itself. And there's been way too many times that that has happened.
I bet,
in
dude.
a clinical setting.
Oh my Lord.
So with that is a strength of a refrigerator magnet, a very strong refrigerator magnet.
Oh, okay.
So if you were to put your car keys up to it, I mean, it would grab towards it, but you can stand next to it with your phone and it not fly into the magnet. So portable MRIs, so the other ones down in the basement, they're fixed. They can't be moved. You can't go anywhere. It takes 6 months to a year to build a suite.
Holy shit, really?
A fixed
I
MRI.
believe that, yeah.
Yeah, so the entire suite is filled with copper lining, so that nothing else can interfere with the magnet itself. And it takes, 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and about $3 million.
That is insane.
$3 million.
And that thing's, I mean, it's like the size of a bedroom, isn't it? Like, they're huge.
Yes, they're huge. I don't know the exact measurements of a high field, but
this big ass thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's exactly it. And even if it's just your arm getting an MRI, you have to go through that entire tube.
Really?
You have to stay still the whole time.
So the swoop thing, what's like the sell of it? Is it because of the convenience, or is it more accurate, or is it just because it's more accessible?
First one and last one.
Okay.
So it is
totally
not
fair.
necessarily more accurate. It definitely is the portability of it.
Sure.
And also the accessibility. So a lot of people who are not in the clinical or medical world don't know how hard it is to get an MRI, and whether it's of your brain or of your arm or of your foot.
I don't. How hard is it?
It's very difficult.
Because of like the doctor giving the okay of it, or what?
Insurance, also the longevity of how long it takes to receive an MRI. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of people in this world who need an MRI, and the fact that it takes so long to do so many different sequences, so different imaging within the MRI, it just takes way too long. We don't have any
Hey, bub.
We don't have enough, hours in the day to do that. And a lot of what's going on is there's been a lot of replacements with the older MRIs with the newer ones. And so again, like I said, it takes 6 to 12 months to
build one. Yeah.
To be able to implant a new one. And so they're only operating I can't believe he's touching me right now.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I said, hey, what's going on up there?
Hey, are you going to let me pet you? No, he's not.
He'll jump up here at some point. He always jumps up here during these.
So again, with accessibility, it just takes way too long for patients to get an MRI just in general. And this is kind of a help with throughput. So even though we don't do limbs, we don't do the abdomen, we don't do the chest, we can at least offload the brains onto the scanner in order to increase care, decrease care, discharge the patient, or even sometimes pronounce a patient dead, anoxic brain injury.
I didn't think about that, you having an MRI on any part of the body. But this and it being specifically the head, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yep. So portability.
Because I'm sure you get the results immediately, basically.
Yep. So our sequences are a little bit longer than the high fields, but we only have 4 sequences that we run as of right now. And the high field MRIs have countless amounts of sequences. But for ours, it's you want to answer that critical clinical question as soon as possible. When a patient is unstable and cannot move, where otherwise they wouldn't even be getting a MRI of their brain anyway, because they're just too sick to move. I cannot tell you how many times that I've moved a patient too early to go down to the fixed CT, the fixed MRI, and I'm coding a patient. I'm doing CPR in the elevator.
Jeez.
Because they were not even stable enough to handle the bump that it takes to go through the elevator.
My gosh.
You're changing tubing, you're changing ECG leads, so all of the sticky electrodes that go on your chest to measure heart rhythm and heart rate 24/7. You're switching those out because those are not compatible with the high field MRI. There has been a study that one of our sites has done for us, and just with IV tubing, IV and flushes, guess how much money it takes just for one patient to end up changing all of that out?
I have no idea. I don't even know where to begin.
$500.
I was gonna say $100. That's insane
per patient, and that doesn't even account for the drugs that they have to push through. So now a lot of the
per MRI. Holy shit! And that's just the tubing and stuff. Wow.
Yeah, that's not even the drugs. So if a patient is intubated and sedated, you're talking about high level narcotics.
Right.
that are being pushed through, and it's not the stuff that you get on the streets for cheap.
It's the good shit.
Yeah, it's the safer shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very costly, and also it can be costly for the patient. So even though a patient may not lose a pulse on the way down, adverse events happen. So the patient falls or a chest tube dislodges, and you're not around the correct setting to help the acute patient right then and there in the MR. So you're not in the ICU where you're surrounded by all of your other medical professionals and the Pyxis, which is the massive med robot. You're not next to all of your people who can help you. You're kind of down there only with a handful of people. And the time that it takes from the order of the MRI and switching all that out and taking them down to MR and grabbing the personnel needed is probably about, if it's not stat, I think it was 7 hours.
Whoa. I wasn't guessing that. Get everything ready and going.
Yep, because when you go down there and a patient's intubated and sedated, you have to take 2 nurses. You sometimes have to take an attending, transport, sometimes respiratory, sometimes anesthesia.
Sure.
You have to round up all these people. And if it's not what they think is stat at the moment, but it could be, you just don't know until you get the image. Yeah, it can really cost patients their quality and quantity of life.
Quantity, yeah, seriously. Good Lord. Good for you.
So it's pretty cool. I could, bore everyone with this for a while, but we are a publicly traded company, so buy some stock.
I totally see the
HYPR.
I get it. Yep, there you go. HYPR, NASDAQ, $1.20.
Yep.
I would definitely buy that. 2014, yeah. Hyperfine announces $6 million registered direct offering. Okay, that was a day ago.
We've been a company since 2014. We've been FDA cleared since 2020. So since COVID, it was not a great year to go live.
Yeah. The first FDA cleared.
Yep.
Portable ultra low field magnetic resonance brain imaging system capable of providing imaging at multiple points of professional care. So then would their next step to be get portable ones for the rest of the body?
No. So what we're focusing on right now is our image quality.
Accuracy.
So just the clarity of the sequences that we're running. So our clinical engineers and our technical team are extremely intelligent, and they're working night and day to really improve our image quality without having to change our hardware, which is, so it's all software driven.
Yeah.
AI and deep learning. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you guys are adding things or taking things away via the imaging. But for us to be FDA cleared, I promise you that is not the case. We are not adding anything to the image or taking things away. And right now that's our primary focus. And because we are still considered a startup company, that is our primary focus, so that we can kind of work in tandem with the high field MRIs. So the lowest high field MRI, our image quality is almost there to the lowest MR, the 1.5 Tesla. So ours is 0.064 Tesla or 0.64 millitesla.
Okay.
That's the measurement of the magnet force, which is really awesome to see this little small.
Yeah, so when you say that, yours is almost at the lowest point of the huge one. That's crazy, because I mean it's got to be a tenth of the size, probably, something like that.
So ours is, I would roughly say, like 4 feet by 4 feet. Fits in through any standard doorway, goes into any standard elevator. It's 1,400 pounds, so it's heavy.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
But again, the portability and accessibility of the scanner itself is really, really awesome. And to get kind of everyone on board in the hospital, there's a lot of different personalities in every hospital, just like it is in every company, working from the bottom all the way to the top. So getting everyone on board is sometimes a little challenging, But that's why we have such a diverse team, from nursing to MR background to CT, or our CMO, Eddie, neuroradiology, and then we've got a bunch of technical people, IT, clinical engineering, and, I mean, of course, sales. But all of these people bring so much to the table that we're able to connect with everyone on some sort of level to help gain their trust, because new technology is scary, especially nowadays. Everyone's like, AI this, the robots are going to take that, and I don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it.
It doesn't make sense. It's evil. Get that away from me.
Right, exactly. And how is this either A, going to benefit me, or B, how is this going to benefit my patients? And you start off with the patients and the fact that their loved ones can stay in the room, especially when it comes to pediatrics. Their parents can stay in the room and hold their hand with them, where otherwise in the high field MRI, they have to go into this medical coffin alone.
Some big scary machine that makes weird noises.
Yeah, and they can hold a teddy bear, and someone can hold out a phone, and they can be watching Blue's Clues or whatever they want to watch, or a demented patient who's scared to be alone and wants their loved one who they barely even recognize in the room with them.
Right.
And they can still stay in there and not feel left alone. So there are a lot of benefits. Of course, I think really the only con, I would say, to the portable MRI now, Swoop, we're working on image quality, and I know it's getting better and will be better.
Yeah.
Image quality, and I guess the 4 sequences that we run are like the bread and butter of the high field. So I think the limitation of sequences sometimes stir.
When you say sequence, like different rounds of imaging it's pulling or something?
Different versions of a photo.
Like different frequencies or something like that?
Yeah.
Spectrums or something like that?
Yep.
I got you.
So they show different.
Yep.
They show different things.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Cool. We dove into this head on.
Yeah.
People were like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I know. I was like, I could really nerd out about this. I could make just
no,
like
it's good. It's
instead.
it's clear that you're about it. You're passionate about it. That you know what you're doing, which is so good to see. So let's say the clinical side of this.
Yeah.
You used to be a nurse, and then you got to travel nursing, and now I guess you'd call this the private side. You can mess with it as much as you want.
Okay, I was like, I don't want to break this.
No, it's like you can really fuck with it. Yeah, it's fine. And it'll stay sturdy, which is kind of crazy.
Okay, great.
You did nursing.
Yep.
How long were you a nurse for?
Well, technically, I still am a nurse. I just don't practice bedside.
Okay.
I was a nurse, bedside nurse, for 5.5 years.
Holy shit, were you really?
Yeah, it was really that long.
Including all the traveling or not including the traveling?
Including the traveling.
Okay, before traveling.
2.
Here in town.
Correct.
Where?
Yeah. I was at Mercy.
Okay.
Palace on Ballas.
Palace on Ballas, hell yeah.
one of the 2 on Ballas. MOBAP is obviously the other. But I was on med-surg, 6th floor med-surg on night shift. And this was before COVID started. So I graduated in May of 2019 from Maryville and went straight to med-surg. I know anyone who listens to this who has any idea what med-surg is about. It's terrible.
Is a nursing specialty focused on providing care for patients with many medical challenges and those preparing for or recovering from surgical procedures? Okay.
For lack of terms, and I know you've heard me say this before, is chasing around crazy old naked people.
Yep, that's what this is. Painting it out, the next sentence, yeah.
Everyone is probably wondering why I did that instead of going into a specialty of ICU or NICU or labor and delivery. Well, I was not confident in my skill set when I graduated college, because in college, during our clinicals in senior practicum, they did not allow us to do anything, any of the nurses, anywhere.
Really?
I went to, I was at Mercy, I was at St. Mary's, I was at, what is now Mercy South. We were there during their merge from St. Anthony's to Mercy South.
Went down like Fenton or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holy Tony's is what people like to call it.
That's funny.
They did not allow us to do anything besides do the grunt work of vital signs and stocking cabinets of blankets and toothbrushes. And
That would get old.
I could never do anything clinical. I think I maybe placed one IV, and I think it was on Ellen Rogers. And the other one, I placed a Foley during my labor and delivery rotation. But that was it. I didn't do anything else. And I was just like, well, I'm going to start with the basics and just start with med-surg.
So was med-surg like a stepping stone then?
It should have been, but I ended up staying because I loved the people that I worked with. They were so great. Night shift was such a hoot, but I turned into a gremlin that 2 years later, people never told me that I turned into a gremlin until I was done with night shift. Brittany was one of those people. She's like, I'm sorry, I never told you. But I was like, yeah, I wish she would have told me that.
You sucked.
I was like, okay, well, now I know. Won't ever go back to the dark side. But 2019 is when I started, and then March of 2020 was when COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And I was on a 57-bed unit. Okay, so ICUs are usually like 12 beds.
Okay.
Step down, which is like in the middle of ICU and med-surg. They're about, can range probably like 20 to 25 beds. Mm-hmm. And Mercy's was a level 1 trauma center, 57-bed unit on
That
med-surg.
seems crazy.
So mid-April, our unit changed. Half of our unit switched to a COVID unit overnight.
Really?
And expected all of us, obviously, to just put our foot in our mouths and
just take it.
Just take it. And that we did. We had no management. They just said, we're sending up COVID patients. Start prepping your rooms now. Oh, and mind you, they're doubling the beds that they could double because half of the beds could be doubled.
Jeez.
The rooms could be doubled.
So you went from 57 to like 80 just like that.
Uh-huh.
For something you have no idea what it is.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And so everyone's afraid
Yeah.
and running around literally with scissors.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't know what we're doing and what we're setting up for. We're doing all of the extension IV tubing to extend all the way out past the door so that when we had to change fluid bags, we wouldn't have to go all the way into the room.
Oh, my God.
So instead of that IV pole being just adjacent to the bedside, we would drag it all the way out to be outside of the door and put like 5 extension tubings all the way out there.
Jeez.
Yep. So, and we had to install cameras in the room because the doctors who would admit the patients wouldn't go into the room at first. They would virtually monitor them.
Really?
The cameras were like 3 megapixels. You couldn't see anything.
Right.
But that's how they did their admissions overnight. So when they had to ask the patient the questions of like, what's your health history? What are you here for? What are your complaints? Yada, yada, yada. And nobody wanted to go into any rooms. There were so many patients that fell, that coded, that died. We had way too many patients up on the unit. We were overflowing. Their ER had boarders out the door, so people just on stretchers or in a seat. And it was just a wild, wild time. And so when I left, I left in September of 21 to do travel nursing. And travel nursing was what I always wanted to do. I said, I need to take a break from bedside nursing. And what I ended up doing was going and moving down to Florida with Kelsey, and I worked in a doctor's office.
And did you really?
Mm-hmm. Oh. At Sarasota Memorial First Physicians Group is where I worked.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a nice change of pace.
I bet. I could imagine.
It was a very, very nice change of pace, but it's too cookie cutter for me. So Monday through Friday, you get there at 8 a.m., you have patients from 8 until 4, and I could probably take people's blood pressures with my eyes closed because that's how many times I took patients' blood pressures.
Were you acting as like a physician's assistant or something?
No, I was still their nurse, but I was the only RN in the office that had an RN license. Everyone was an MA, medical assistant, or I think was working on it.
Okay.
but no one had my high of a degree.
I got you.
So I would go in and just, assess the patient and ask all the history questions and take their vitals. And then I would leave the room. I'd chart, I'd answer calls, I'd do calls, answer calls back. And I learned about how much of that insurance is a biznatch. When it comes to coding certain things, like insurance wouldn't cover physical therapy if you put in the code for fatigue. Like you had to put fall or broken hip, or
Really?
you have to put in something else for insurance to cover things when somebody really could benefit from physical therapy
Right.
or what they would cover for a brain MRI. So that was a nice change of pace. I did that for 6 months and lived with Kelsey, and Kelsey's been my best friend since day one. We're 6 days apart, and we're very close.
Oh, really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah, April 4th and April 10th.
Right on.
So it was a freaking hoot and a half living with her. We are like Dumb and Dumber living together. We put chairs together backwards. We tried to hang photos after drinking 2 bottles of wine. They ended up very crooked. Sorry, Max. I know you have to fill those holes. We knocked over
That's a proper roommate situation right there.
Yes. We knocked over too many drinks on her carpet. And one night while we were kind of buzzed after drinking some wine, Kelsey bought a dog, and her name's Bella.
No shit. I never knew that. Wow. Kels had a girl.
Yeah, it was super
No
good.
way. Like you're
Yeah.
just like poking around online or something?
Yep.
Oh
yep,
my God.
Yep. And Kelsey was like,
That's
I look at Kelsey and I go,
funny.
we leave for Colorado tomorrow. You know that, right? So this was the ski trip going to Breck. And she goes, well, I'm just going to ask them to hold her, and I'll get her when we get back.
I remember that. Oh my God, I remember that.
So yeah, she bought Bella, and that, I mean, it was, the rest was history. She bought a blow-up mattress and slept on her living room floor so that she could take Bella out every like hour while Kelsey slept overnight.
Oh my God.
And she's the cutest thing and the silliest girl. I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of like the first 2 to 3 months of her initial being at Kelsey's. But anyway, back on track to travel nursing. I don't even know what brought me to reach out to Claire, but I saw that she was travel nursing in California, and I wanted to go somewhere else other than Florida.
Hang on.
Yeah.
When you went down to Florida to Tampa to do this in the physician's office, doctor's office, was that also on like a nursing contract, or did you like take a full-time job down there? And that was just like the plan for the foreseeable future?
I took a full-time job actually down there just because they didn't do contracts. Initially, I had applied for a job at a contract at St. Petersburg General. That fell through, like, as I was driving down to Florida. And I was just like, you know what? I'm still going down here. I will find a job. I'm a nurse. I will figure it out. And I couldn't find any travel contracts. So I looked around, and it was really a blessing in disguise because I knew I needed to take a break from bedside before I started losing more hair. Because of how stressful it was. And I think if I would have continued to do bedside nursing throughout that time, that I would have stopped traveling a lot earlier, a lot sooner. So I'm very happy I did what I did.
Is that a 2020, like a hindsight reflection, or did you have that thought in the first place?
When I ended up getting the cancellation notice from St. Petersburg General, I was like, then that means I'm not supposed to be there.
Okay, there you go.
So,
right on.
But I knew that I could find a job anywhere, and I was just comfortable with still being down there and being with Kelsey and her family down there too. I knew I would have support, and so I ended up finding that job, and I loved it for the time being, but to live for the weekend, I did not like that. I'm like, I don't want to have my life just continue to pass me by because I'm just so regimen of like wake
fair.
up, go to work, go to F45, make dinner, shower, sleep,
Call it a day. Yeah.
rinse, repeat over times 5, then
Get drunk Friday, get drunk Saturday, be miserable Sunday, F45 Monday, work Monday, dinner Monday.
I mean, it was just not something that I wanted to continue to do. A lot of people love it. My brother loves regimen. My dad loves regimen.
Some
They
people
do
need
the
it.
Same thing. I mean, I do in like a moderate way, but it's not strict that I have to have the same job every day. And for me, I think I would get bored, which obviously I did after 6 months. I was like, I want to go somewhere else. I want to do something else. And from me doing nursing 3 12-hour shifts a week, and then working 5 8-hours a week, ended up being a weird transition, and I was okay with it until I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it came to my mind that I was like, I do like having a schedule, but I also like it being in my own hands, where I had to be somewhere 8 o'clock through 4 every Monday through Friday, and there was no flexibility to do anything else because no one else can take your place
Right.
and help cover you, really, unless you've built up PTO. And the fact that nursing was never super regimen, every day was so different, every shift was so different, and every week you could not work for an entire week because you worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the first week, and then the next week you don't work till Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And you just have that entire time off, and you can do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And I think that opened my eyes from going from nursing to the doctor's office to back to nursing is work-life balance. That's very important to me. What came to my mind is that.
Yeah.
And not that I don't believe I'm a lazy person at all, but the fact that I do have my own life, that I can go in my own direction of where I want and no one else telling me how to do it necessarily.
I'm with you.
So
It's good you had that realization early on.
yeah.
A lot of people have that don't do anything about it. And that's where you get trapped.
Yeah, and it sucks that people do feel that way, that they feel trapped, but there's just so many things that you can do with your career. I mean, regardless if you have a college degree or not, you can grow your career laterally, either A, with the college degree that you already have, or B, just doing more, do another side hustle, go back to school if you haven't, or complete school if you, that's exactly what you need is a college degree to take that next step. Or for me, I didn't want any more responsibility. That's why I didn't become a nurse practitioner or a nurse anesthetist or med school. I wanted to grow my career laterally without having to go back to school and spending tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then eventually paying it all back. That was not my goal or my expectations in life. And also, I really hated school.
Same. Yeah.
I was not good at it. I was just very average, and that's totally fine. And I'm okay with that. Like, C's get degrees.
Yeah, I sure do.
Is the way to go because I tried and I beat myself over the head whenever I would get a B- or a C. Well, guess what? I think I'm still doing pretty darn well for myself.
Yeah, people don't really look at GPAs.
No, they don't. No, that's what I tell people whenever I hear like someone's going to nursing school. If you don't have the money to go to a state school, go to junior college.
Yeah.
Go and do the smaller things. It doesn't matter where you go to school. It's as long as you get your degree of. I think in medicine, you definitely need a degree. Medicine and engineering. I think those are two main ones. Anything else, go do an internship for like 2 or 3 years at multiple places and learn what you want to do. Sales, marketing, advertising, maybe accounting is maybe also something that may need a degree. But I just don't really believe that everyone needs it, but I know a lot of companies want it nowadays, unfortunately.
I think, yeah, it was really pushed upon people as it's that way or no way. And like school, again, like the regiment thing, like it's not meant for some people. And some people, the school thing's not for them. The 9 to 5 is not for them. The desk is never for them. And that's okay. They can go to the trades. They can go do anything, literally anything. They don't have to go and do the little office job. And like school might have not ever been meant for them. And that's okay. You can go make a fine living doing about 1,000 other different things.
Right. Do you think you thrive off of a schedule and regimen?
It definitely helps me. When I had a strict one, because now I don't. I follow one, but I don't have I don't have to be in the office at certain hours. No one's calling my phone if I'm not at my desk at 8:45 or 9:15. Right. No one gives a shit. As long as I get my stuff done, which is how I feel it should be. But I didn't have one for a while, and it definitely hurt me. And now I'm sticking myself to one. But back in fresh out of school, my first job, I had to go downtown all day, every day. We didn't have work from home. It was no option. And that was when I lived at my mom's, which was out in Wildwood. So it was like, I think it took me an hour to get there in the morning, like an hour 15 to get home. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing this. No way. And then I moved to our apartment. And that apartment was in Clayton, and still downtown. It would still take me like 25 minutes, half an hour to go like 7 miles. And on the way home, it still took me like 30 minutes. I was like, dude, I'm not.
This is terrible.
Yeah, if I could literally leave, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just think it's a responsibility thing. I think people need the regimen. I don't want to say they're not responsible, but a lot of people haven't grown into the responsibility yet. So I think regimen's a necessity for some of them. It definitely helps. It definitely helps to have, at least for a bit, so you get your bearings on what you need to actually do.
Well, and some people really do need to be told what to do.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And it kind of depends. Nick Broski, love you so much, but sometimes boys, need to be told what to do when it comes to what to wear and how to wear your hair
100%.
and certain things like that. But they do, I like I said, I keep referencing back to my brother and my dad, is just because I believe that they do thrive off of a strict regimen basis, but they do have a great work-life balance. Well, now that dad is what he calls recently unemployed, i.e. retired. But some people struggle with it and feel like they're being suffocated, and then they start lashing out at people like they're being micromanaged.
Yeah.
And then some people are just like, okay, great. What more do you need to do? Like, give me a to-do list because I will check all those things off.
I'll vouch for that for myself. Britt will ask me to do stuff. She'll, whatever the fuck it is. Like today, she mentioned that the sheets need to be washed. And, that's in one ear, out the other.
You're like, yeah, sure.
And then, I'm like, whatever, sure. And, 2 hours later, she's like, can you wash the sheets? I'm like, yep, on it. I'll do that. Just tell me to do it, and I'll do it. If you just say something, it means nothing. You got to tell me to do it, make me a to-do list, I'll do it. Which I think some people need. I absolutely, and, with the regimen, at 9 to 5, if someone's not given, hey, over the next day, over the next week, over the next month, we need you to get this done. Mm-hmm. You get all this done for me, not just figure it out, my boy.
Yep. I definitely agree with that. And a lot of people, like myself, are very visual. And so when you don't see that in front of you to do something, so whether you have a to-do list on your phone or on a notepad or on your laptop sticky note that you can see right when you open it up, then you're going to completely forget it.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
And I definitely
110%.
Definitely feel that way, but knowing that I can, kind of circling back to what I can do with my career along with everyone else, usually, as long as you have that grit and that desire to want to do something, you can do it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
agree.
say you can do anything you set your mind to. I know that's a cheesy thing to say, but I do believe that the majority of things that you do aspire to be and that you want to be or to do, set your goals and go ahead and reach for it, because what's the worst thing that you're going to fail?
Right.
People are afraid of failure,
Yep.
but that's where the best mistakes are learned from. And then you learn to never either A, do it again, or you don't do it later in life.
Yes.
So that's also my saving grace of nursing just in general. I'm so happy I did it. Will I ever go back to bedside? I'm never going to say never. Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. Not saying that that was a mistake, but it gave me the life that I have now.
Yeah. You're grateful for it.
And yes, very much so. And to be honest, I'd probably end up somewhere in the medical field regardless of nursing. And after leaving bedside, but I'm extremely thankful for the life that I do lead and the connections that I do have, that has led me as A, support system, and B, the people to open doors for me. So, i.e., Brittany, and shout out Brittany and Dave Castelloni. Thank you. Very happy with them, and also I'm able to share that gift too with Claire. Again, I've already said Claire's name multiple times, but shout out to you, Claire. That she also gets to be a part of the same journey or a similar journey that I'm on, and now she's a heck of a lot happier with her
Good.
life and lifestyle.
Good.
So
That was like, for people helping you out, you're never gonna get it if you don't ask for it, and you never know who you're gonna meet and what situation you're gonna put yourself in. And I wrote it down the other day. There's a quote I saw that life-changing doors don't open themselves. Like, you can be placed in front of it, but if you're not doing yourself any service to get yourself through that door, to shake that hand, to ask for the opportunity, to keep on going, it's never gonna come to fruition.
there's a motivational app that I have on my phone that gives me like 3 motivational quotes.
Hell
a day.
yeah, hell yeah.
And one of the ones that I thought was funny, so excuse my French, that it says, you don't get the ass you want by sitting on it.
That's nice. Hell yeah.
So that can be referenced to the gym, or it can be just you don't get the life you want by doing nothing.
Yeah, by
it just
sitting
doesn't.
around.
It seems like when you look at other people's lives that things just fall into their lap. But I'm not going to go all like the moons and the stars in the sky type of thing. But when you do manifest things and speak things into existence, I do believe that that makes such a big difference in your life and your outlook of just yourself. And the aura and the good, not necessarily vibes, but the vibrations that you give off to other people when people are like, oh, that's such a negative vibe. Like, I get a negative vibe from people. I know it's kind of like a hippie Gen Z thing to say, but you do get those vibes from people that aren't happy or do have those negative outgoing auras because of either A, what they're feeling, or B, what they're putting out into the world. So if you're putting out negative energy to the world, you're just going to keep getting negative energy back.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And
I totally agree.
It's just as small as not thinking that everyone is against you. You can't say, oh, well, of course this happened to me. Of course my tire popped because this always happens to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to keep happening to you.
Yeah, if you keep on saying that shit.
If you keep saying that. And I've been very, again, grateful and thankful for the life that I have, because I am loved and supported, and I have dealt with adversity many times before. I know my life is not as difficult as other people's, maybe, but I know that when you put that extra love and positivity out into the world, I promise you, you will get it back. It may not be immediate, which is what everyone in at least Gen Z wants nowadays, is immediate gratification. Is right then and now. May take some time, but I think it does make a wild difference, because I've been down in the slumps several days in a row, and you're like, when is this ever going to end? Why is this happening to me? And then you start feeling claustrophobic and angry, and stuff just keeps piling up. It's like, when is this shit pile gonna
Yeah,
end?
seriously.
When is this terrible dung beetle ball gonna end?
It's a huge pile of shit. I got to get out of this thing.
But that's when I start changing things around within my mindset, even if I'm literally thinking to myself in my own head and voice or speaking out into it. Is just finding those positive affirmations. I know this sounds like very granola that I'm talking about this right now, but that's kind of how I've been able to be positive through the negatives in my life. And again, it's not been terrible negatives, but there has been hardship and heartbreak and anything that you could really imagine a feeling that people feel, and you just end up having to somehow look on the positive side eventually. Mm-hmm. You can have that time to feel sorry for yourself, and I have. And you could be like, why does this happen? Why is this happening to me? I'm sad. And then you know what? I'm like, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to wallow in this. And then you're gonna get up and you're going to keep going. Because that's what you have to do, because the world keeps moving on with or without you.
Sure shit, girl. That was a lot.
I know.
I'm with you. I'm all with you. I'm totally with you.
I know. I could really be a philosopher, maybe. No, I'm not there yet. But when it comes to, I was just talking to a couple of people about this over the last couple of days, is what I've started doing is, my dad has always told me, never stop learning.
Yeah, good.
And I know that that's a famous quote from lots of people, but one of the main things I want to get
Tim
better
Swearingen,
at.
Wayne Gretzky.
Well, honestly, after I say this, I'm going to pull up some notes of my dad's quotes that he continues to say over and over and over again. Again, one of the main ones is never stop learning, and one of the things I want to get better at is public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's a good one.
I'm reading
That's a
book.
tough one.
Yes. And not everyone knows me. And no, I don't talk as much as Brittany, but I do talk a lot.
Sorry, girlfriend. I don't know if anyone does. I love you.
Yeah, we love you, B. But yes, you do talk a lot, but so do I. But in larger crowds of strangers, I don't know. Yeah, thanks. I don't know how exactly I would be, and I want to be able to engage my audience so that everyone is not hitting snooze during presentations, because whenever you're sitting at a presentation, you're just like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be over?
Yep.
I'm already familiar with the material. This is boring.
It's hard to keep people engaged.
Right.
It's really tough.
Yep.
Have you ever taken a public speaking class or anything like that, or been in that situation?
Heck no.
Really?
That's like the innate part of my brain saying, absolutely not. Skirt, other way.
I guess if you never took business classes or anything, you probably didn't have to.
Nope.
Huh.
No, which is kind of interesting, because with nursing, you're like, half of your job is educating.
Yeah, sure.
And so whether it's not in larger crowds, like you're either teaching the patient or you're teaching family members, which is maybe max of like 5 people.
Right.
But now with the career that I have, I know that eventually I'm going to have to start presenting things either to my company, or, I mean, eventually I would love to be a part of a groundbreaking study and be able to present it at a conference in front of like 50, 100, 200 people.
Right.
That would be really cool and innovative and disruptive in the best way possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the never stop learning thing kind of always stuck with me with my dad. We're gonna read a few things.
What you're just saying though, be careful what you wish for. You keep saying it, you'll be speaking in front of 200 people before you know it.
I know.
You'll be shitting your pants before you know it.
Nope, not after reading this book. I'm gonna kill it.
I think the most I've ever spoken in front of was like probably 50. I don't think anything more.
Where was that? Was
At
that in
school,
class?
yeah. And then I had a position at a fraternity where I had to speak in front of them, but that was just like my buddies, so like whatever. It's not that I don't have a fear of it. It's always terrifying. There's nothing about that, but I've always found it to be easier than most
It's what I also read, which is cool, is it talks about the innate psychology part of why people do have a fear of public speaking, even though there's been nothing wrong that has happened with you in the past where you've thrown up in the middle of a speech or like had to beeline it out the door or anything like that. It's back when cavemen and dinosaurs roamed the area, and it's the, again, innate fight or flight in your brain that's telling you you're under fire. What do you do?
Oh.
That's what's triggered.
All these people are looking at you. They're judging you. Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
And then it comes to, oh my gosh, everyone's paying attention to me. They're definitely going to be looking at my hair and my nails. Oh my gosh, I didn't get my nails done today.
Right.
I totally skipped a word. I totally skipped a topic, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
You're just in your own mind creating all of these adverse events that haven't even happened yet. And yet you're psyching yourself out the entire time. So just like I said, circling back to putting positivity out and positive affirmations on you is I'm gonna rock this speech. I know everyone's gonna be, the majority of people are gonna be stoked and energized and want to be engaged in conversation, in the questions that I do have throughout the presentation. You know, you're talking positively, not, oh my gosh, they're going to sleep during my presentation. They're going to be looking at me through my head to my toes, that type of thing.
Right.
So back to Father's quotes.
Yeah, sure.
So, these are motivational quotes from Tim Swearingen. Don't go through life looking through the rearview mirror. Pay yourself first.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah,
That's
the pay yourself first is putting money away in your 401k Roth IRA. Everyone knows, who knows me, knows that retirement is very important to me because I don't want to work for forever. Be aware of who and what you leave in your quote-unquote wake. So if you've ever been on a boat, that's the wake. So think about the people and the things that you leave on the side. So that first, last impression that you leave on people, that ends up being in your wake. Good, bad, ugly, ends up being in your wake. I thought that one really stuck with me too, because you just even think about one bad day that you've had, that you met one person that you're never going to see again, but then that person just now has that negative outlook on you now. So, not that that's the end of the world, but life is full of choices, but what matters most is the choice you make. So make good choices.
Thanks, Tim.
That was such a basic one.
I have the same thing. Whenever I hear one, I write it down. This is my list of them.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, I got a ton of them. I hear one, I don't know, it's probably every couple of days I write one down.
You have to read one to me. Oh God, he said, life is like a game of chess. You got to move the pieces, or it's like a game of checkers, depending on your mental capacity.
That's totally fair.
This will be the last one so I don't bore everyone. But 1 out of 10 people are assholes, and everyone can be an asshole 10% of the time.
Yep, that's also true. It's also very true. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I'll be writing more motivational quotes as we drive 18 hours down to Tampa. So
I forget you're driving. Oh, that's so crazy.
It's at least just 12 hours, and then the rest of the 6 will be on Thursday.
So what do you do? Do you go to Atlanta then?
Yeah, so we'll stop in Tifton, Georgia, which is like 3 hours south of Atlanta.
Okay.
I believe. And then it'll just be 6 hours Thursday morning. So we'll get up at like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
We'll get up at 5 or 6 and be there by noon, hopefully. Crossing our fingers and toes. And luckily, my apartment complex does have a elevator. Because my brother's, well, soon to be old one, my brother's apartment in Colorado did not. So they had to carry everything up the
Fuck
stairs.
that. I always forget how big Florida is.
Yeah.
I can't believe this roundabout conversation we just had. That was incredible, Nina. I didn't even know where we were at. I don't know. I say affirmations to myself every day. I have like a whole list
Wait,
of them.
read one of your quotes.
Okay. I wrote that one down the other day. Life-changing doors don't open themselves. Perfection is the enemy of progression. If you piss like a puppy, stay on the porch.
Never leave.
Yeah. Better to admit you walked through the wrong door than spend your whole life in the wrong room. You're not dumb. You're just inexperienced.
Shit.
Yeah. Let's see. Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. I like that one a lot. Yeah. I don't know.
I love those.
I've got a ton of them. I don't even know. I wish I would have wrote down who said it. But, like, I'd say 1 in every 20 of these I have. Like, this one just says, blah, 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 dash, guy in an ice bath. I wish I have no clue.
Guy in an ice bath.
Yeah, some guy in an ice bath. I saw
Okay.
that. My dad said a really cool one that I wrote down. I don't see it on here, but I always think about it. I remembered it when he gave Britt a bottle of wine.
Did he write it? Did he write it on the bottle?
No, but he said it when he gave it to her, and it was that life happens between coffee and wine. And I was like, whoa. Yeah, because like whether it's you're buying someone coffee or having wine with someone, or it's like like something like along those lines. But then I thought about it, I was like, holy shit, yeah, because all of life happens between when you have your coffee and when you have your wine. I was like, that's he gifted the bottle. I was like, everything happens in the conversations you have between coffee and wine. And I was like, damn.
I love that.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Well, and then you and Britt want to do like the morning of your wedding is to have coffee and. Do a little photo shoot of just coffee and you guys on the beach.
Yep.
If that's still happening.
I think it is. I hope so. Yeah, there it is. Everything happens between coffee and wine. Dash, Dad.
Yeah, you need to find some of these quotes again.
I know. Life should be
Honestly.
lived by design, not default. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact.
You know, that's something that I think I've had trouble with since probably COVID.
What?
Of what's true and
yeah,
what's
it's
not.
a tough one.
It's what's fact and what's opinion and what's rumor.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, well, where do you get your facts?
Fact, opinion, or rumor. Yeah. Where do you
So
get your
it's
facts
just like,
from?
and then even if you say, oh, well, I went on WebMD.
Yep.
Or CDC.gov, they're like, oh, well, that's not true. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a government website. Then
Right.
Then
who are we really supposed to trust now? Yeah.
What are the facts?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now it's just kind of by word of mouth. And also keep referencing back to my dad. I guess he's somewhat of an intelligent individual.
I think so.
I do think so too. But he's like, what do you know and how do you know it? Is kind of how do you end up knowing certain things of whether it's someone's getting married or it's an actual fact of what is like, how are you tested for COVID? Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do those tests, are they even real? Are they just projected to throw a number so that the government can get back money?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. And it sucks that we have to believe that nowadays. But to be honest, it started with when Kathy Elizade was on the Michael Brown case.
Yep.
And she was our neighbor living right across the street. And that was back in 13? Yeah, it was when we were in high school.
Yeah, 13 sounds right.
And it looked like the entire St. Louis area was on fire via the news. And like the media controls everything that we see and our opinions and where we create our own facts in our minds. And everyone who ever heard that I lived in St. Louis, whenever I'd go and travel somewhere, they're like, oh my gosh, are you guys okay? Like, heard the whole town's burning down. And I'm like, no, that's in Ferguson, which is like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, it's probably an hour away.
There was just a lot of media presence in that. Not that it shouldn't have been, but there was just a lot of over-exaggeration of what was happening to the city. Definitely now after the fact, St. Louis City, I don't think it's not only because of this case, but St. Louis City is scary.
St. Louis, it's in a mess. Everything about the city's in a mess.
Which it sucks because you hear about our parents going downtown for Cardinals games and not having to look over their shoulders and worry about anyone coming to mug them or discharge a firearm or anything like that. But now it's like you're kind of going there with this mental armor on, knowing that anything could happen while you're down there, which sucks because I love St. Louis. I know I've kind of crapped on it recently just because I'm ready to move.
Yeah,
it's kind of
easy to do.
The city itself, I know that they're trying to slowly rebuild it. St. Louis is my home, and I will definitely miss it and my family and my friends, but I can always come back.
You can always come back. That's what I tell everybody is you can do. I'm sure it'll be gone longer than a year. But people are always so scared to move away. And I'm like, dude, or take a new job or whatever. And you can do anything for a year. Like, move away for a year. I guarantee you can do it. I guarantee you it's not going to. If you hate it, you can move right back home.
I guarantee it's going to make you a better person.
Yeah, exactly.
And more
exactly.
Hey, you're not dumb. You're just inexperienced.
Yep, exactly, dude. I guarantee you're going to learn from this, whatever it is. And, like, that's what, like, Evan, he lived in Florida for I don't know. He went down there for college, and then he didn't move away until 2021, 22 probably.
Yeah, I moved to Denver.
Yeah, it's probably maybe 2023. Yeah, he hated it, but he did it for a year. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be here for a year. If I don't like it, I'm going to move home. That's exactly what he did. I'm like, hey, dude, more power to you. But now you'll know. Now you know. You did it. You'll know what it's all about. And now you know that Florida is the absolute. You know that's where you're meant to be. It's where you're supposed to be. It's where you can be. And that's totally cool. It's totally cool. I'm all for that's like my favorite thing is trying new things. Yeah, I'm all about it. Where the fuck were we? I don't know. I want to go back. Get back to traveling nursing.
Okay, that's probably where we left off.
Yeah, I don't remember how. I have no idea how. Anyways,
anywho.
So you went into traveling nursing in 2021 after Kelsey.
Yep. So
where's your first contract?
So, I guess technically Kelsey's was not my first travel contract. My first travel contract was with Claire.
And wait, so you were with Kelsey down in Florida in 2021, fall of 2021.
Fall of 21 through April of 2022.
Okay. And then you somehow saw her, the Claire's in California?
Yeah, so I followed Claire on Instagram, forever ago. And I saw that she was travel nursing in California. I just wanted to pick her brain about it because, again, I had no experience yet. Mm-hmm. And we started talking, and ironically, we both wanted to end up in Colorado. And I was.
You guys weren't friends before this? Mm-mm. Like direct friends?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. We
would have fooled me.
I know.
That's crazy.
So I ended up I only had ever hung out with her once prior to us moving in together in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa.
You serious? Wow. Good for you guys. I did not know that either. Holy shit.
Yeah, and so my mom goes, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. You sure she's not crazy?
And I was like, "No, but we're gonna find out."
Yeah.
I was like, I think I have a pretty good tell of people.
Wow, look how far you guys have come. I had no idea.
I know.
Wow, okay.
I know. So the first date, we called it in Tuscaloosa, we had this massive sushi boat. And when I started off the conversation was, "So what's your favorite color?"
Yeah, seriously. What's your favorite Netflix show? How do you like your coffee? Oh, that's funny. Oh, my
God. It was hilarious. And I was just like,
started off corny as hell.
Yeah. I was like, "So what's your favorite color? How many siblings do you have?
Long walks on the beach.
Together? What are their names?
Oh, my God. That's funny.
Do you have a boyfriend?" Well, actually, I knew at the time she was, I don't know if her and Nick were official then, but I knew that she was seeing Nick Hayflinger. And Tuscaloosa was a torrid contract. It was so horrible. Don't ever recommend doing healthcare in the South. Like South meaning Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana.
Really?
That area.
Because the hospital systems?
Stay away. We were at the hospital, DCH, it stood for Druid City Hospital, but the local said it stood for Don't Come Here.
Wow.
So we went there.
Druid City already.
Druid City Hospital in Tuscaloosa. So that was right off of U of A's campus.
Okay.
But during the summertime, where no kids are around and it's hot as nutsacks out there, and Claire and I were the minority.
Probably.
So we made the most of it. And then next we went to Asheville, North Carolina. RIP to everything there because all of our favorite restaurants and shops are destroyed.
No.
Yeah.
You guys really liked that place too, didn't you?
Yes. We were in the Blue Ridge Mountains in this 100-year-old house that did not have a dishwasher. It had a carport with the washer and dryer that were in a completely separate building from our house. And we shared one bathroom that was maybe like 3 feet by 3 feet square.
Like the size of our old kitchen?
Yeah, just about.
Jeez.
I mean, probably even smaller than that. So we rotated, spending time in the bathroom. But North Carolina was great. We loved all of the hiking and the people we worked with. The North Carolina
You guys really
healthcare
liked that place,
professionals
didn't you?
yeah, it was great. Of course, the nurse-to-patient ratio was kind of crazy there. It was 6-to-1 on days, 6 patients to 1 nurse, and
Is that high or low?
that's high. So usually on med-surg, it's like 4 to 5 patients to 1 nurse, and it was 6, and sometimes we were 7.
4 to 6, it's what, 150% increase? That's crazy. 50% increase? That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, but everyone that we worked with was so great, and we had so much fun being there. There was a lot to do with the breweries and the places to go out and hike, and it was just such a fun time. And then we came home for the holidays, and then came Colorado finally.
So that's got to be 2023 at this point.
Yep. So that was January of 2023.
Oh, that's right, because you guys would come home for the holidays.
Yep.
That's right,
Yep.
yeah.
So we were there January of 2023 through July of 2023. And Colorado, I loved the most. The hospital system itself, we kind of got screwed over with a contract, but where they said that we were weekends only, and that was definitely not what we signed up for. So we kind of got screwed on the weekend part.
You wanted weekends only, or they gave you weekends only?
No, they gave us weekends only.
Oh, fuck that.
And they did not tell us. We were kind of gaslighted there.
That's a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, and it wasn't the hospital. It was our agency.
Yeah, because you go through a third party with that stuff, don't you? Yeah.
Yep. So technically, our agency was the middleman in between. So it's the hospital, our agency, then us. So the hospital pays the agency pays us.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Yeah, okay. And then because they take the cut off the top, and then they pay you guys.
Oh, yeah, they took a serious cut off the top.
I could imagine.
Yeah. So Colorado was probably overall my favorite. I won't speak for Claire, but I think she kind of feels the same. And we were in an apartment at first, and then the second 3 months we were in a home, and I loved it. I'm kind of laughing in my own head with the house because we had semi-friends, and a really good friend of my brother's living there prior to, and there were no issues with the house prior to them living there. And they gave us a really good deal, and then we come home from Glenwood Springs.
I love where this is going.
during a terrible rainstorm, and the basement where I am sleeping, that's my entire room, is the basement, is flooded.
Oh, fucking hell.
So Connor Hall was living in that basement.
Oh, no
with
way.
all of his computer stuff.
Wow. That's
prior
an expensive
to.
fix.
Well, prior to. So this never happened when he lived there.
I see.
But then this horrible, it was the wettest spring/summer that Colorado's ever seen. And there was at least an inch of water just floating around the basement.
No,
and
thank you.
Luckily, I'm not a mess, and I don't leave anything on the ground. Nothing was on the ground.
Those guys would have had half their stuff lost.
Yeah. And it went into the unfinished part too. So Really, the only thing that was ruined was the rug underneath the bed, because it was all the plastic, like vinyl flooring that looks like wood. That was the only thing that was ruined, and the house just had so many other problems that I won't get into. But
we don't need to blast anybody.
Yeah, anyway, Colorado was a state that you could drive an hour in any direction and feel like you're in a different country.
Yeah, that's very true. You go south, you're in the middle of the desert.
Wild. Yeah, Claire and I, we went hiking, we went snowboarding and skiing, we went snowmobiling, we went ice skating, we went camping. We did the sand sledding and sandboarding at the Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado Springs. That was so much fun. I think I peed my pants watching Claire slide down the sand dunes. It was quite hilarious. And
I bet.
Trying to watch Claire and I do even remotely close to camping was hilarious. Us trying to start a fire, even with a starter and 2
That's funny.
boxes full of matches. Started the fire on the last match.
Atta girl.
Last match.
Stacking the matches up as wood.
Yep. In this like little, I don't even know what it was called. It was like an oven kiln with wood in it. We couldn't even do it with a starter. And I was like, I should have brought a lighter.
Making your dad proud.
I know. Oh my gosh. Like I couldn't even help but laugh, because that same night you have to walk out to a porta potty to use the restroom or wash up or anything. And I totally forgot to bring my glasses with me. And
oh
it's
my
dark.
God.
It's like, Claire's directionally challenged. Love you so much, Claire. So I'm like, Claire, can you lead us back? I can't see. I took my contacts out and I can't see. Can you lead us back? And she goes, well, which way is our tent?
North. Which way is that?
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, were you just depending on me? And she goes, well, yeah. And I was like, okay, bullshit. I was like, let's get both of our flashlights out and let's find our way back to our tent. And God. I lose Claire behind me, and she almost starts walking into another tent. And I was like, Claire, it's not that one.
Where were you guys?
In Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay.
We were in the desert. The tents were already set up, which was really nice. It was like a plank wooden floor and a canvas tent. And they had like one of the animal skin carpets and 2 twin beds set up. And it was really cool.
I bet you guys figuring that out was a sight to see.
Yeah, I know. It was, I swear, Claire and I and Kelsey and I have the same dumb sense of humor and are kind of, like I said, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, Beavis and Butthead type of people when we're together. But we ended up making it out of there alive and no broken bones. So
I'm glad.
I cannot say that for other trips that I've made with other friends. Shout out Ellen and Al for having your broken ankle-itis is what they've both had.
Was that on like the bachelorette party or something like that?
And
that winery?
That was Al. So she wore these wooden wedges that were definitely breaking ankle ready.
Hell yeah.
And right as we were about to leave, we were at Cedar Lake Cellars, and she's walking out of the bathroom on that unsettled cobblestone, and she just rolls her ankle, and then down she went, and the rest is history. And then Ellen's was in Breckenridge when she fell for the 800th time on Brittany's snowboard, and she was like, yep, I'm done. And then she completely unlaced her boots and walked straight down the mountain.
Atta girl. Atta girl.
I've got some really, really great friends, and they keep me young and make my life full because I have no idea where I would be without any of them. Good.
That's awesome to hear. That's how I feel about my buddies. I had one of them on one of our ski trips. It was it the last run of the day or the first run of the day?
It's one of the two.
It's one of the two. And I want to say it was the first run of the day. Charlie. I don't remember. I'll have to ask him after this. But he's from Kansas City, but he like snowboarded at like, I think he snowboarded. I'd take that back. I don't know if he'd ever snowboarded before, but he knew how to ski.
Okay.
And we were on one of those Mizzou ski trips.
Two completely different.
And he was like, I want
avenues.
to snowboard and fuck skiing. We are like, that's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
And you know what? I think it was the end of the first day. That's what I think it was. So he had made an entire day of just like working his way down greens and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then made it to the bottom, and we were about to go in, and like went to fall back on his butt to unlace, and just landed on his wrist wrong, and completely snapped it. So he had to go and get a cast, and then he went and snowboarded again the next 2 days.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck it,
That's
I paid. Yeah, I paid for it. I don't care. I don't need my hand." And I was like, "That's nuts, bro. You're gonna break the other hand."
Oh man, yeah, that is one of the most common injuries in
I believe it.
Is wrist and collarbone.
It's the whole thing about like falling. You gotta know how to fall and roll and all that. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, even in correlation with Ellen, was she didn't know she broke her ankle. Like she knew that it hurt, and we took off her snowboarding boot, and it was purple and black.
Fuck no.
And Al and I both
What'd
looked
she
at each
do?
other.
Did she twist it or something?
Yep, she just fell for the 800th time with her boot that she didn't. I thought I had told her to like keep it as tight as possible, and it was a lace boot instead of like the twisties that we all have. And it was way too loose. And so her ankle had too much room to move, and so every single time she fell, it kept, because of course, like you move with the entire snowboard. It doesn't unsnap like skis do.
Yeah.
Like that's the safety mechanism of skis. Snowboarding, you fall with everything.
Right.
And so she finally was just like, nope, I'm done. Like, that's it. And she literally walks straight down the mountain with a fractured tib fib. And
damn, girl.
Mind you, both Al and Ellen had to have surgery.
Whoa.
For them, for the fractured tib fib. And she took her boot off.
That's insane.
Black and blue and purple ankle, swollen. And Al and I both look at each other and we were like, it's just a bad sprain.
Yeah, seriously. We'll put some ice on it. She'll be fine.
So she walked around Breckenridge for another 2 days with a shattered tib fib.
Jesus Christ.
And then
how?
The last night she was like, yeah, I'm starting, like, I don't really feel like I can feel my toes anymore. And Al goes, yeah, you may want to get that checked out when you get home, because we were flying out the next day. And Ellen, right when she lands, she goes to urgent care. Yep. It's
fucked up, girl.
Fractured.
Fucked up,
and
girl.
they were both out of work for, I think, almost 3 months.
Damn, because they couldn't walk.
Yeah. So Ellen's a OR nurse at Mercy's main OR, mainly cardiac related. And Al works at Siteman Cancer Center.
Yeah, you can't really do that on crutches or anything.
No, she does a lot of the bone marrow biopsies and infusions for cancer patients. And yeah, they were out of work for quite some time. And I was like, and the next time we were all out, I was like, I think it was for Ellen's bachelorette. I told everyone. And I told them, I was like, I don't want your diseases of broken ankleitis, so keep that away from me. And they're like, Nina, you're next. And I was like, you're not saying that.
No more of that shit. Don't you put that on me.
Yeah,
Don't you put that on me.
It's just, I was with them for both occasions. And I was like, no, that is not happening to me. No.
Fuck no.
Oh, gosh. They're just freaking hilarious people. Al is a ball of fire, and she honestly is such a light, and I love her so much, and the fact that she takes no crap from anyone is so great. Ellen, the same. I think I attract people who do have the Tweedledee Tweedledum appearance, because Ellen is one of those people too. She's her airheadiness and her bubbliness too just really make my life a lot better. And we met in nursing school, and I don't even know what life was like before I met either of them.
Really?
Because I met them both in college.
Some good friends.
Through friends, yeah. So the majority of my friends are from early childhood or during college? I would say.
That's fair. I don't. Most of mine are college now. I still talk to some people from early on.
I think it's a lot of people that I've talked to recently find it, not to toot my own horn, but very special to have people from that far along, that you do have people from your early childhood ages that you're still like, you can call them the best of friends. Like, you're not just friends that you catch up once a year. You are still in contact with them like once a week. You hang out with them once a week. You do vacations with them.
Yep.
Like, they're still considered your people.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say from childhood is Kelsey, Brittany, Elizabeth. I would still consider Brittany Robinson childhood as well. Gracie Bollinger, Sam Seidel.
Wow, you've got a lot.
Maria Menini. I'm trying to think of like all the OGs. Yeah.
That's how, as at that point, that's how Jim is. Jim and Sam are for me because I went to grade school with them. Then I went to high school with them. And on top of that,
that counts.
Me and Jim went to, in high school, we were in the same homeroom. And then when we went to college together, we were in the same fraternity, and then we were also roommates. So like, we doubled down, we tripled down, we quadrupled down, we quintupled down, whatever.
Is that 5?
Yeah, I don't even know where the fuck we are now. But it's funny because, like, I'm sure it's the same exact situation for you and those girls. Because, like, there'll be time, like, because me and Jim, it's like fucking, it's 2 peas in a pod. Like, we don't have to say anything. We know exactly what the other's about to say. And we're just like, shut up. I don't need to hear that right now. But it's like when me and him interact, same with Sam, it's like people will come up to us and it's like, it is so weird seeing you guys interact. I'm like, yeah, because we've known each other for 15 years. Like, it's not, like, he's not really just like a friend anymore.
He's a brother.
Yeah, he's like a part of it. He's here. He's all a part of it. It's like, I remember, where were we? I think I was in Chicago. And me and Jim were talking. And, like, when we were done talking, we, like, walked away from the conversation, like, holding hands or something. And I think it was Charlie. He was like, what the fuck are you two? I was like, don't even worry about it, man. He's like, I don't care.
It's a bromance.
Yeah, he's like, I can't understand your guys' relationship. I was like, yeah, you never will. But that's like when you know for someone for that long and you're a part of them for that long, it's just, there's nothing about it. There's nothing you can say about it.
There's
what it is.
No secrets. There's no uncomfortability, and if judgment needs to be passed, you know that they'll pass it on you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And like when they call, it's like my boss is calling. He's like, I gotta take this.
It's like my best friend's calling. Excuse me, because otherwise they wouldn't be calling.
So I wanted to get into, because that was something I found interesting about you, is the whole traveling thing. And I don't want to say, hindsight's always 20/20. In a different life, I think, not me, but us, me and Britt, maybe we would have moved some. We always had the talks of after college, maybe moving somewhere, Dallas, Denver, Florida, etc., whatever. Because, well, one, I think travel is important. I think travel is very important. And then two, not experiencing, but I guess like third-hand experiencing all of our friends who are travel nurses, and seeing all that. And then when Caroline was in Madison, then Caroline moved to Florida, it's like, damn, maybe we should move. What was, I want to hear like your pros and cons of the travel nursing and traveling so much, so often. Because you'd be gone for 4 months at a time.
3 months. So it was in Florida, it was 6 months. Then Alabama was 3. North Carolina was 3. Colorado was 6. And then Wisconsin was 3.
12-week contracts and something like that? Okay.
Yep. So, oh gosh, we'll start with the bad, the cons of moving. I think for us, because this is kind of a pro and a con. When we moved, we obviously didn't move with our own furniture. We only moved with our
That's definitely
clothes,
a pro and a
shoes,
con.
and toiletries. Was
Yeah.
like, and my espresso machine. Can't go anywhere without that. Cannot function. But also using other people's stuff for 3 months was kind of weird and uncomfortable at first. I'm like, okay, so like, who's been on this couch? Has anyone really cleaned it?
Yeah.
What about these bathrooms and these beds? Like, you're sleeping in a bed where you have no idea where these people have
Could be a
slept.
40-year-old mattress.
And yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing, I guess, about hotels, but that was kind of weird to get used to. Being away from my family sucked. Really,
You are a big family girl.
yeah. And the fact for the first 3 months that I was in Alabama, I actually never saw my family.
Really?
They didn't come to see me, and I didn't go home once.
Wow. Your first contract too. I bet that was tough.
Yeah. And that
was your first time away from home. Oh, no, Florida.
Florida was. Yeah. And technically I went to SEMO for a year, so that was like my first time away from home. But being away from my parents, they were busy moving my brother to Denver for the first time. Out there during that time, I think he moved in July, and so I started my contract.
Hey, that was the same time.
It was May of 2022. Yeah, because he's almost been there for 3 years now.
Feels right. Oh yeah, because it
was July of 2020. Yeah.
Because when you were in Denver,
July
you picked me up.
2022.
You and Claire picked me up. That's right.
Yeah.
I
Oh my
forgot.
gosh, that was so much fun. Another con of travel nursing was I was away from my boyfriend at the time. And that was extremely stressful on our relationship, but we knew that we both trusted one another and that we would try to visit, but then that ended up being our norm, was just to see each other once every 3 months or once every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that, of course, in hindsight now is not okay. And of course, I just think that was a major factor that ended up being a reason why we are no longer together.
Sure.
I did selfishly put my career first, and that's what I wanted to do. Another con was getting acclimated. So whether like you knew where your grocery store was, you're getting used to the people you work with, you have no idea how these people are going to react to you being there. You kind of had to put your feelers out in the first, couple days, kind of had to like be aware of everyone else and their thoughts of you, and you had to be like on your A game.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't ever on my A game as a nurse.
But that's a real thing. Like people's mannerisms and how they talk in different areas. And like it's normal to them might seem rude to us.
Yep.
And our normal might seem rude to them, et cetera, et cetera.
We talk about cultural differences a lot, and we only talk about it in another country, but it happens in this country too.
It's big time here. My boss said that the other day, is he was like, whatever, something came up with the conversation I had. He's like, it was that easy? I was like, yeah. He's like, damn, I wish everyone was like the Midwest. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I lived in Miami and I live in Dallas. Like, people suck. And I'm like, that's crazy.
It's the kind of people that some cities and states attract.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
You can definitely tell if someone's from the Northeast. So, like the Philly, New York area versus Midwest or even California, born and raised. I'm not saying like, oh, you've lived there for 5 years and now you're a classified Californian, but born and raised in a certain state. So cultural differences.
That's real, especially like when you would go down south.
Uh-huh.
That's a huge switch up. Yeah. To go from somewhere like Alabama to Madison, that is two sides of the coin. That is...
We at least had the hop to North Carolina first, and then Colorado.
Some transition period.
Yeah, there was at least a little bit of lapse there. We went from there to the semi-hippie granola in North Carolina, and then Colorado was such a mix of people, and then Madison was really just like Midwest.
I love Madison.
People. Madison was honestly really, really great too. I loved that hospital overall, I think was my favorite contract.
Yeah,
like
that's good to hear.
hospital as a whole, but I think contract as a whole, just like I said, was Colorado. And I'm trying to think of other cons of me traveling. Let's just go to pros. So pros was that I was able to, like, travel in itself was a pro to me. So I get to know new people, new cultures, new food that I've like never tried before, because even though we're in the same country, there's different cuisines that different states have and what they specialize in. I mean, just like you think of St. Louis and we specialize in toasted ravioli,
right,
provolone cheese or provel cheese, and gooey butter cake. Like those are the three main things. And being able to do all of those things in every single city that I went to was really eye-opening. And also, you limit yourself with the amount of people that you do or don't want to encounter with. And I feel like I learned a lot, not only from the people that I worked with, but the patients that I also encountered, of what to apply to my life or what not to apply in your life. Just things that you learn don't always have to be positive, like from yours aspect of life, that it can be a negative that you learn from someone. You're like, holy smokes, actually, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
make a mental note of, no, I don't ever want to do that in my life.
That's a good way of looking at it.
I made really cool friends, and that's also another pro. I also think moving made me more adaptable to any sort of situation, whether it was to deal with our apartment or the home that we were renting or the hospitals that we were in, because we had to quickly pick up, move. We had 1 day of computer orientation of learning their EMRs, so their electronic medical record system, policies, procedures, and then 1 shift of being followed by another nurse, and then that's it. You get 2 days of orientation, and then it's sink or swim, trial by fire. So you had to adapt quick.
Yeah.
And you're in a completely new city, and you know nobody besides the person you're traveling with. And to be honest, Claire and I, we were only ever on the same unit in North Carolina. Otherwise, we were on completely separate units with basically not the same schedule.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's another story of us being screwed over by contracts. But
you live and you learn.
Yes. But again, I wouldn't ever change the traveling for anything, because the valuable lessons that I've learned throughout traveling too is, I mean, like, time behind a windshield.
Yeah. Self-reflection time.
That too. And learning to go out and be yourself and learn to be alone. That's okay, because Claire would be working and then I would just go out and go to a coffee shop or go shopping or go and sit alone and have lunch and read. Like, that was okay.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are afraid to be alone. And even though technically I wasn't alone, when you go out and do those things, I think that helps with your emotional maturity as well. And traveling and seeing more parts of the country while being paid for it was also a pro.
Yeah, sure. That doesn't suck.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, living in Colorado, and then I can just drive 2 hours south and be at the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Right.
And just be there and enjoy time. I knew traveling was what I wanted to do when I studied abroad in Italy.
Yeah.
I
had that written down. I had them intertwined.
Yeah. So I'm glad I read where you were going with that. But yeah, studying abroad in Italy, that was my summer of going into, I think, junior year of college. And after that, I had the travel bug and I needed to continue to travel. I always thought about travel nursing during high school, actually.
Really? You knew about it back then?
Yep.
Huh.
So this was even prior to COVID, and I thought that once I graduated college, that I could just start travel nursing and then, like, from the get-go.
Yeah. Just like that.
Wrong-o.
Yep.
No, you need actual live experience before you go out and, again, only have 2 days of orientation, and then you're just
Sink or
let
swim,
go.
buddy. Yeah.
It was so nice to have someone to do all of these things with. I don't think I would have done.
Yeah.
I know I just said the correlation of like being alone and being okay being alone, but having someone to do all of these adventures with just made it that much more fun. Because someone can
and probably that much more doable.
Yep. And it made it, of course, more affordable going with someone else. But you go up on this really cool hike and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is beautiful. Like, do you see this? And you get to share the funny memories of Claire falling over nothing and having bruises all over. Yes. And bruising everything on her knees and her shins. Poor gal. Or her throwing a bag of toothpicks at a moth to kill it in our house.
That sounds effective.
Yeah, it was not. You just create so many memories that they're just better shared with somebody else.
Yep,
like another person.
Yeah.
But I do think it kind of expedited my individual personality of wanting to do these things by myself and being okay being alone. Because if you're not okay being alone, you're not going to bring any of that happiness into any of your relationships, whether it's with a boyfriend or girlfriend, but with your parents, with your siblings, and with your friends too. And that's something that I've always lived by, is because that, not that you can't be dependent on your significant other, because you should be, like, your person, that should be your person and your rock.
Yeah.
But you cannot be emotionally, physically, psychologically dependent on them 100% of the time. You are not yourself then. You're literally held up by somebody else. And you are only codependent on that person. And that also weighs on that person that's holding you up. Therefore, creates a rift in between you two, probably eventually. And that's, honestly, I had a lot of self-reflection during travel nursing, and I think that's also made me a stronger person of who I am today, even like 2 years later, or I guess a year and a half later. So self-reflection is a big pro for me with traveling. And yeah, it sucks to, start over, and that gives some people anxiety to start over because they don't like change. Back to the whole thing with regimen and schedules.
Yep.
You disrupt them and holy smokes, you've just exploded.
Yep. The world falls apart.
Yes, you've just dropped a bomb on their entire life that they're never going to forgive you for.
Right.
So you have to do it with the right people, or do it alone. And I think that's also another thing that I get asked all the time with me moving to Tampa is, are you going to be there alone? I'm like, yes, I'm living alone, but I'm okay with that. I'm not in Florida alone.
Yeah.
I've got probably 10 or 12 friends that I could ramble off right now that are within, oh my God, you just scared the crap out of me, that I could roll off the top of my head that live within a, probably say a 45-minute radius.
That's pretty good.
So I'm just like, yeah, that's like living in Baldwin and then going to Clayton.
Yeah, literally.
St. Louis. So yes, I may live alone, but I'm excited for it. I get to create my own space and do what I want with it. And this is the first time that I'll be able to do that because, like I said before, is I always moved into a fully furnished place. Couch, TV, bed, everything was already set out.
Now you get to make it your own.
Now I get to make it my own.
that I was doing a review on the podcast I did with Andy Hoover the other day. And something we said during it was that culture shock was good for the soul. And I was like, damn, that's very true. Because like, we were relating it too, because he had gone to Costa Rica recently at that point, and I was talking about when I was in Spain. But exactly how you're even regionally here, I think travel is, and if you can do it, solo travel. Like my friend Davis has done some solo traveling, and I can't. You could write a book with how much he's learned from doing, let alone doing shit solo, like going to the fucking movies solo, going to dinner solo, doing solo travel. It's insane what you can learn, let alone about everything, because you're so much more like aware and like in tune with everything, like how much you learn about yourself.
Diverse.
Yeah.
How you can connect with other people on different levels instead of just being in your own head, and also you being with another person that you know limits you from talking to strangers.
Yeah, bingo.
So therefore you're not even opening up yourself to other conversation that you could have with someone else. And I mean, even i.e. I went down to a convention in Orlando this past summer, and I had showed up a day or a night early, and I just went down to the bar and ordered dinner, had a glass of wine.
Hell yeah.
And then I was able to talk to a bunch of neuroradiologists that were also at the bar.
Hot damn.
And then brought them to our booth the next day.
There you go.
So it's just putting yourself out there in those situations that you can learn to grow.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, but if you are comfortable, you are not growing.
Yep.
So like if you are so comfortable, you're like, oh my gosh, I love my life. I'm just, just going
Perfect
through
as is.
Yeah, just going through the motions, totally fine, not challenging yourself. You are not growing.
That's a big part of it, is challenging yourself.
You are not growing at all. And
which I think people being alone by themselves, like fuck traveling alone, going to dinner by themselves, going to the fucking bar at Mulligan's, having dinner by themselves and talking to the person next to them, or going to the movie alone, going to lunch alone, going and name it, like doing anything you do with a friend alone, that's challenging for a lot of people, which is
me,
good.
That's confidence.
Yeah.
That screams confidence to me. Like, you're okay being alone in a bar or restaurant full of strangers, and you're okay sitting there alone doing nothing, people watching. I mean, you may be on your phone or just like reading even, and you're totally fine doing that. Good for you.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm so happy that people can do that, especially at our younger age. I know as we get older and like 40, 50 plus, like kind of care goes out the window of I really
that's true.
Give a flying F about what people think about me. But it's cool to see a younger generation doing that and holding their head high and having that confidence to be alone, because I don't know, I think a lot of it also stemmed from COVID. Was the codependency, because everyone was just honed in at home. Yeah. Everyone started working from home, and a lot of people weren't alone. And now that the world is slowly getting back to the way it should be, now being around people is the norm, and being alone is not welcome, or it feels unwelcome.
Which is tough.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
It's tough for people.
Because there's also like a balance between it.
that.
Like, I get being overtly social can then hide things or put makeup on things you're hiding from that you don't want to deal with internally. But then also only being alone all the time is definitely not healthy.
No. There's a good happy medium when it comes to that. But again, like I said, the independence is not being alone or lonely, but you don't want to be so dependent on someone that if they don't answer your phone call, you're shaking in your boots because you have no idea what to do. You need to learn to do things on your own and be independent and be okay with, again, yeah, going out alone, going to the grocery store alone, having dinner alone while your family goes out with their friends, but you're not going with, and or your significant other going out to dinner with the guys, or even going out with the guys, and you're not invited. You have
Right.
to be okay with that. You have to be, and I think that comes with your own sense of security within yourself as well.
I think that's I wonder if it is COVID, because that wrecked people so hard. Every age group, it wrecked everybody. With the whole, what you're saying, going out to eat with like boys having dinner, girls having dinner. Doesn't matter which side it is, which side of the ball you're on. But it's like, well, why aren't I going? Like, are the boyfriends gonna meet up later? Can we do something? And it's like the boys are just hanging out. It's like, well, why aren't the girls invited?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the point. It's not that we're not wanting you there. It's
There's a happy medium.
yeah, and it's
again,
nothing
like I said,
against
between
it's nothing
the
against
two.
you. I don't know.
Because you still need your relationships with your boys, our girls, your parents, your siblings, without other people getting involved. That's why you have individual relationships with people. So your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your girlfriend, your best friend. And if you guys all were together in the same conversation all the time, would you guys have the same relationship? Well, for me, would just be way too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm good on that
Way
one.
too many cooks in the kitchen.
I'm so good on that one.
So many opinions, so many topics. It would just not be necessary. But that's what makes each relationship unique, is to have your own relationship with them. So like Brittany and I's relationship is entirely different than Claire and I's relationship of friends.
Yeah. Yes.
And not only because Brittany, again, is probably one of my oldest friends, but it's just the kind of people we are. And no matter what happens, that's never going to change. Claire and I will always have a different relationship than Brittany and I, and not in a good or bad fashion. It's
Right.
just a relationship that you have with people. And for me, yes, I do have plenty of close friends. Not that I need any more, but I love people and I like to meet new people. And I think that's a part of me that made it so special doing travel nursing, is that I do love people and I could talk to a wall if I had to, and to be fun and energetic and learn about people's lives and challenges and happiness and their lowest of lows. And it's just cool to see that there are other people out there besides the people that you hold close to you.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
There are other people out in the world that are actually really genuine and care.
That's like the whole reason of this podcast, is because I know, because you talk to someone for like 20 minutes whenever you run into them, and you're just like, damn, there's so much more. There's so much more in there.
Yep.
Rounding that all back to what you're in now, and like the professional medical world, I think it's so interesting, fascinating, really. Because obviously I overhear every one of Britt's conversations for work, the business side of the medical world, and I guess, like, would you call yourself medical sales?
No.
What would you put it under?
Clinical education.
Okay, but
I'm still a part of
That's
the
fair,
sales
yeah.
process, but I'm not cold calling the hospitals.
Right.
I'm not
No,
going
no,
in and
right.
saying, "Hey, listen, we've got this only portable MRI in the whole entire world that's FDA cleared. Like, do you want to buy it?" I may be brought along in that process just because to have a nurse a part of that process is enlightening to a lot of the neuroradiologists, the critical care doctors, the cardiologists. They're like, oh, so a nurse is behind this too. Like, a nurse is affiliated with this. There must be some sort of logic here.
Sure.
I have been a part of like the cold calling process, or a demo, which is we bring our system into the the hospital that's interested in the portable MRI swoop, and we set up shop either in a room or in the cafeteria, and we have all of the clinicians come by. The neuroradiologists, you can talk about the chief medical officer, administration, nurses, techs, you name it. Everyone's coming by, just kind of learn a little bit of a snippet. And that's kind of a part of the sale, is to have that process with the nurses, with sales, and our CSS team, which I guess we are a part of the CSS team, but CS is our clinical specialist support team, that they all have MR background. So they've all dealt with the high field MRI. They've all worked behind one before. And to have those three main targets there at a demo, you're kind of stretching alongside of your touching points of every single person that needs to be involved with that sale on the hospital side.
Gotcha.
So you need everyone involved to be technically like bought in on the system or the device itself. And again, even though it's not my pull or that I get any sort of commission from that, but we are a part of that process to sell. But it's, again, not us calling on all of the doctors to say, hey, I would love to talk to you about your hospital system getting a portable MRI. Like, when can you talk? That's not us. We're a part of the education. So when everyone comes in, again, for the demo at least, we're educating them on the basics of Swoop.
So would you say that then, because I'm curious how, like, I guess it's kind of answering my own question then, because like, I'm curious how you manage the relationships of, because it's not sales, but it kind of is, but it's also patient care and it's also clinical. And you want all those people as part of the conversation so everyone's on the same page. How do you manage all those relationships at the same time?
So it's also kind of a loaded question, but it all starts with sales. So whoever the RSD is, the regional sales director.
Because like the sale part of it, you want the hospital to be in part of it, because obviously there's huge benefits to what you have.
Correct. So that's actually all up to the RSDs. It's all up to the regional sales directors to get the key stakeholders bought in.
Okay.
So that's admin, that's the administration, that's the C-suite. So all the people, all the head people on the board.
Of said hospital group.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then it's radiology, because those are going to be the physicians that are actually reading the images. And then it's the ordering providers, whoever that is, if it's critical care, if it's cardiology, if it's neurology, they need to contact them too, because they're going to be the ones ordering the scans.
Okay.
So you have to purchase the scanner. You have to have a physician ordering the scan. You have to have a radiologist reading the scan in order to diagnose. Okay. So with all of that being said, our RSDs initially, that's all of their job, is to get in contact with all of those people. That's not on me or CSS at all. Okay. And then once we get to the demo stage, if there even is one, sometimes they just end up buying one even without a demo. It is up to the RSDs to set everything up and reach out to whoever they need to bring onto that demo. So we're just there, again, basically especially if it's not in our territory as account managers, it is not our responsibility to correlate any of those things. It is our responsibility to educate the people who come through the door.
Okay, I'm with you.
And then when it comes to implementation, so the RSDs, their responsibility is from the get-go to spearhead everything. And then once the sale goes through and the implementation starts, meaning the system's there and we're ready to start educating the techs, the nurses, the radiologists, we're ready for the 2 weeks of implementation.
All 20 pieces that go to this puzzle.
Yep. That's where we step in.
Okay.
That's where the CSS team, the clinical specialist support team, and us come in, and we educate everyone over 2 weeks in the short span of it. The RSDs are usually always there as well, just kind of as moral support, just in case we need to get in contact with someone, higher up, and they're there as kind of like a trigger finger of, oh, I've already had contact with John Doe here. I know exactly who to call. He can fix this. And then we continue on with the education of everyone who needs to be taught of how to use this device. So, and then once we leave, the account managers, it's no secret that after we leave an implementation, the scan volume goes down because it's a shiny new toy, and then all of a sudden it's just hung up in a closet somewhere like a dirty hanger.
Yeah.
Our job is to continue to drive that utilization of the scan volume in the hospital so that they don't just forget about it. So we're the ones to touch base, come in. I mean, again, we're still in our scrubs. We're not coming in dresses or suits or anything. Yeah. We're coming in our scrubs, asking questions like, hey, like, do we need to, I saw that you've only done like 2 scans in a month. Do we need to revisit the use cases? Do we need to talk about re-educating any of the nurses? Do we want to add on any of the ordering providers being able to scan not only the radiology techs? What can we do here? Like, let's work with something. Can I answer some questions? Can I round with you guys and see what patients are applicable for the scan? That type of thing. So it's Claire and I's responsibility to touch base and put our feelers out and check pulses with all of our sites that don't have a great scan volume, but also just to touch base in general. And it makes a lot of sense eventually when we do have more account managers throughout the country is to touch base once every 4 to 6 weeks physically in person.
Yeah.
Because that means a lot to people.
Right.
And not just reaching out via email because, I mean, shoot, as a nurse, I don't know how often I checked my email.
Yeah, that's fair.
My work email. And to be honest, I don't know how often doctors or nurse practitioners, how often they do
it's minimal.
In a critical care setting, maybe in a doctor's office setting, but not in a hospital setting.
Right.
So really to go up there and show face really
that probably carries
a lot.
That carries
people.
far.
And Tim, thanks again, Father. 90% of anything in your life is just about showing up.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it is.
Show up. Show up for your friends, show up for your family, and obviously show up for work. And show up on time. If you're not 5 minutes early, you're late.
Yep. It's funny how you said all that. It always comes back to continuous learning.
Yep. And I cannot thank my dad enough, even though he pontificates quite often. But so do I.
Pontificate. I don't know that word.
Rambling on for
There you go.
Rambling on into
It's a compliment, Tim.
Yeah.
Pontificate.
Oh no, he knows that word because I use it quite often with him as well, that he's pontificating.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's funny.
But again, primarily clinical education, and the managing part is really just touching base with our physicians, clinicians, nurses, everyone who could possibly have a question needed. Mm-hmm. We're there to help, and we need to continue to reiterate that we are there because there's no problem in over communicating.
No, God no.
Something that I've learned probably over the last year or so, that over communicating is better than under communicating. Because you can't read. Nobody can read your mind, and you can't read anybody else's.
Yes. Yeah.
So
no one can read your mind.
As it comes to girls too, when the guy comes up and is just like, "What's wrong?" and you're like, "Nothing."
Yeah, easy example. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the guy's like, "Okay, no, but seriously, nothing." And then it's like, "You forgot to fold the laundry today, and it was just terrible."
Yeah.
That. But I do love that it is educational and it's not sales yet. I don't know if I'll ever want to get into sales. I know even when I say I'm in med device, to some people, they kind of look at me like they turn up their nose, because I think med reps have a bad outlook from other people that they're just money hungry. and all they care about is themselves. And I don't think I know really anyone like that, but it's sad that that's the outlook people have with med reps too. But that's why I say I work with the only portable MRI for the brain in the world. I don't say I sell it.
It's funny you say that about, because I agree. It's like, oh, they're in med sales, like, but everyone that I know in med sales, which is now I'm thinking about it more than
you thought.
Yeah, a lot of people are in med sales, and it's most of it is because most of these people are empaths. Mm-hmm. They want to help XYZ person for XYZ problem, and usually it's because whether it's a nursing background, they're empaths in the first place, or like their grandpa had a heart attack, they want to help people get defibs, like something like that. Like there's usually a reason behind it. It's not I can make $100,000 off of this shit. Like it's usually there's like a good reasoning behind it, and they actually genuinely want to help the people.
And there's just a way of life behind it that it's still rewarding.
Yeah.
And not only, yes, I do make a decent living, but also selfishly, emotionally, and psychologically rewarding, because you see a difference in these patients and nurses and families' lives that you're like, they have that light of realization that you are making a difference. And still seeing that while not having to chase around crazy old naked people is...
Right, yeah. There could be positives in this.
Is huge. And I do feel for all the bedside nurses out there still, so keep going strong, bedside RNs.
You guys are better people than I am. I applaud you all. This has been awesome. We're well over 2 hours now.
Oh, wow.
2:11.
Time flies.
Wrap it all up. Do you have, if at any point along your journey from becoming a nurse to getting into travel nursing to, I guess, call it the private side, anywhere along that, is there anything you wish you would have known? What would you tell Nina, and what would you tell 2019 Nina?
Ooh, 2019.
Or shit, 2015 Nina. Listen to Tim more.
I think, unfortunately, I think I've tuned my dad out one too many times. But again, the pontification, it kind of puts you in a snooze mode. 2015 is when I graduated high school. 2015, I would say to myself that you will be facing challenges, but to continue going through your life with that true grit that you have, and that you aspire to be. Because I've always wanted to be a nurse, or not always, but I think since freshman or sophomore year of high school, I've always wanted to be a nurse. And I knew I was going to face challenges, but I guess not the ones like COVID.
Yeah.
Like a massive pandemic that I would actually play a major part in.
A worldwide life-threatening pandemic.
Yeah. To just, I mean, honestly, to hold on and keep pushing forward. And not that I have not. And I really don't regret anything in my life that I've done, because they've all been, even if they were mistakes, they were learning mistakes. Mm-hmm. And the paths that I've crossed with people, good or bad or indifferent, some people, I know that this is a saying that people say, but some people are in your life only for a season.
Yeah.
And even like when it comes to any of the friends that I made throughout travel nursing, like I made friends for 3 months, and no, I don't really talk to them anymore, but I had so much fun with them, and I've learned from them, and I've grown because of them, which is a really cool factor, that not only can your childhood best friends touch your life, but so can other people and strangers. They're not everyone in this world is terrible as the media makes it out to be.
That's very true. It's fantastic.
So
cool. Well, thank you, girl.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Cheers.
being here. This
Yeah.
is fantastic.
I obviously am diarrhea of the mouth most of the time. So.
Those are great. Good luck on your next venture. Have fun in Tampa.
Yeah. Thanks. Can't wait for you guys to come visit.
We'll be there soon.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.